There is just a general feeling of anxiety being felt among millions of people worldwide, and yet nobody can give you the reason why we're all feeling that way. Hello, I'm Mike Bain from Christian Voice New Zealand, and our mission is to look at today's culture through the lens of the Bible and make comment on what we see. So let me ask, what value is there in being anxious? If you are, then you're not alone with this level of anxiety, going by reports from the United Nations World Health Organizations of the increasing numbers of people who are using medication for stress, anxiety and depression. Now, bringing it back to New Zealand, we spend billions of dollars on things like antidepressants and mental health services. Name one thing that makes you anxious, and I guarantee you there'll be quite a list. Right now, everywhere you look, there are issues in every nation in the world causing conflict amongst the people of every race, religion or belief. Obviously, I can speak about the USA and how it's heading to a civil war. The UK is another easy one as it wrestles with an Islamic coup, which they failed to notice. And then at home, we have division like we've never seen before in this country. I hear you say, what about the Springbok tour? Well, what we're experiencing is far greater than that, I can assure you. We're definitely living in very perplexing times as we face racial tension, cost of living crises, and the centralisation of the world's governments, the end of money and the digitalised currency, health treaties, and the list, well, it just goes on. Simply because such a huge list is all being orchestrated by one puppet master. Hey, look, forget the names like Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Jacinda Ardern. There's a greater power than them. They too are just puppets as they use their energy to bring about the stage for the Antichrist, the one person who will rule this new one world government that we're heading towards. I know, right now you're probably thinking this guy, hey, that's me, is absolutely nuts. Let me assure you I'm not, and I have a certificate to prove it. Ask yourself though, what is the root source of anxiety? Is it in my control to stop it? I bet it's something that you have no control over to make it stop. And yet, here we are. All-powerful Britain, even the might of Germany, couldn't stop the flow of migrants into their countries. Like New Zealand, our borders are open to all. And we wonder why life has changed. And I'm not one for a minute suggesting immigration is at the core, but things are different, and we've become so anxious. The world in my lifetime has changed. It was evolving the day when I was born. We as a nation changed. I changed with it and lament back to the good old days, but, well, then I have a look at what we have today in technology and I just wake up. But there is a stirring amongst the nations like never before. Once upon a time, a nation was only concerned about defending its borders against the marauders of their neighbours. Today, though, we're worrying about the invasion of the sea onto our coastlines, whether we'll survive if our average temperature rises a degree or two. We worry about the other species on the earth, like the archie-speckled frog on the Coromandel, while the murder of over 12,000 babies on average have their lives terminated in this country in abortions. But the stirring is not felt in just nations, but in the family as well. Never before have we seen so much tension seen as families, which were once the backbone of New Zealand's culture, cracking under the pressure. Let's add nature into the equation, and we see reports and even have to live through nature's fury at times. Earthquakes, floods, pestilences, food shortages. Believe me, it's all on. Is it any wonder pharmaceutical companies make big profits? Doom and gloom. Tell you what, it sells a lot of books, drugs, and for those who promote fear, they're the ones who are profiting. So who is it that's profiting of the current world situation, and should we be anxious for tomorrow? The answer to the latter part, and my reason for saying no, is because the Bible says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, Philippians 4:6. And I like this one. What do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labour under the sun? Ecclesiastes 2:22. The first part of the question is, who profits? And I've already alluded to who profits because it is Satan the devil who's pulling the strings. Revelation 12:12 talks about a time where there'll be woe to the earth and the sea because the devil has gone down to you. He's filled with fury because he knows that his time is short. Yep, Satan's been cast out of heaven, tossed out, cancelled, entry terminated. So there's only one place he could go where he was still welcome. That's here. Remember what he told Jesus when he tried to tempt him with all the kingdoms in the world? All this I'll give you, he said, if you'll bow down and worship me. No mistaking as to who's in charge. And the reason Jesus on the Mount said that we should pray for God's kingdom to come, for his will to be done on earth as it is in heaven, Matthew 6. We know that we can see where this world is heading, where the road mankind is being taken, and yet really is in our power to say no, I'm not going there. You can't do it on your own because it's an evil spiritual force which is controlling the narrative, and we need help. And for some, it's always hard to ask for help, but right now, only if you can get back up, I'm urging you to get down on your knees and ask God to help. It's easier than you think. So throw all your burdens onto him who created the earth. Throw all your anxieties onto him, and then stand back and watch him work. You know, the Bible is full of reasons why the world is like it is, but the Bible's also filled with hope. And that, my friends, is why we here at Christian Voice New Zealand always look at today's culture through the lens of the Bible.